Hi guys, Shelly here, So Shelly Quilts. So this is the third part of my video on creating this quilt label and playing with now this lettering. I don't care for how So Shelly Quilts or January 2020 looks. It's not very interesting. So I'm going to do some changes kind of quickly. The first is when we typed this in, we typed it in as 3 rows, and then we used the break apart tool and made each row its own row. So now I can select just So Shelly Quilts, and I'm going to come in and make it its own color. And the reason why is then it would have its own box as a collection of letters that will make it easy later after I break those into individual letters to come back and grab them as a group and play with that. So I'm going to hit January 2020 and I'm going to give it a different color also. And that way it's just going to make it easy to manage those after we break those apart. So I'm going to come back up to So Shelly Quilts, which is one big line. I'm going to double click and you'll see that that is just one big line of lettering. And I don't want that. So I'm going to come into Edit, the Edit toolbox, and I had scrolled down. I had done this before the video, so it was already there, but you use this arrow to scroll down. There's my Break Apart tool. And breaking apart the first time is now going to make that into individual words. I'm going to come over and I'm going to break it apart again. And now I have individual letters. So I'm going to come in and grab this S. Well, here I want that to be broken apart to letters. And here I need that to be broken apart to letters. So this S, I'm going to zoom in on it. And I'm going to double click. And that opened the object properties. And I'm going to choose a new font, and just by playing around earlier I decided that this Ketchikan font looked good. So I clicked on that, and I could have changed the height in here, but I'm not going to. I'm going to do it just by manually doing it. I'm going to say apply. Boom, there's the new font. Close this, and now I can reshape the size of this. So there it is. I'm going to make it as big as I want it. I like that. Now that I have the S the way I want it, I want to copy that exact style to the S in the word Shelly, the Q in the word Quilts, and down to the J in the word January. So here's a neat trick on how we're going to do that. I'm going to right click on the S and say Copy Object Properties. And now when I come over here and right click on this letter, I can say apply, and it made it match. And then I will scroll over, and here is the Q. I'm going to right click on the Q, apply, and it made it match. We're going to come back and space all that in just a minute. First I'm going to come down and click on January, and we're going to break apart into individual words, and then we'll break it apart again, and then we'll select that letter, right click, apply. And now I have all of those matching the way I wanted. Isn't that kind of neat? So don't forget that you can copy and apply object properties. I'm going to select all the blue letters, come up to my Reshape Object tool, and they're individual letters, so I'll zoom in and click on each one individually. So when I click on it, I need to hit not the center, but see where those little white lines are? I've got to hit the edge of those letters for it to become active. So I'm going to scoot that over. Let me zoom out. Click on this, hitting the edge of it. There are little pink diamonds inside of each of these letters that allow them to be manipulated. And so I can visually move these until I like the look of how these letters are spaced with each other. Right? Now I'm going to use the select tool and grab the entire word Shelly and use the arrow keys on my keyboard and move it to the right. And then I'll grab the whole word Quilts as a group and use the arrow keys again and move it back and forth until it's situated the way I think it should look best. And get that just right. Now, watch this also. Do you see the little jumps? If I want to get rid of those, one way would be, let's just move these away from each other a little bit. When they're away from each other a little bit, those jumps in between the two letters disappear. And so that's one way to kind of deal with that jump stitch. So here we go. Let's push 0 and look at the whole thing. Now we need to line all of these up again as far as fitting inside of the hexagon. So I need to come in and select this row and right click and group those so that they move as a unit. And on January, I need to right click and group those so that they move as a unit. So they haven't been put together. Again, they're still broken apart, but I want them all moving at one time. So I'm going to line that up. The height is what I'm choosing, not the left and right. And I'm going to move this down and choose that height. And then I'm going to move this down. I'm going to select all by hitting Control A and come into my Arrange toolbox, and I'm going to align the centers vertically just to make sure everything was centered, including the outside edge. So that is some lettering tips on how to get that taken care of. And I probably am going to do one more fourth video to change a couple of more things for you. This is Shelly with Sew Shelly Quilts. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, interact, tell me if this is something you want to hear from me. And I will finish up this little quilt label with lettering in the next video. Bye for now.